I think for me, like many of us, I found myself in deep reflection about this notion of joy and celebration at a time when the world is going through so much. All the horrors we're witnessing in Gaza, in Sudan, in Congo, leave many of us in deep grief. And yet we find ourselves here at a moment where we're called upon to collectively celebrate our journeys and our survival. It brings to mind last May. I was also at the opening of the Syrian Arts and Culture Festival, and it was only a few months after the earthquake hit Syria and Turkey. It was a very difficult time, and at the time I reflected on this notion, and I found this solace in the ability that we hold grief and joy side by side in our body, in our homes, in our everyday work, and life and social contexts. And I thought this ability to hold joy and grief side by side is a talent and is a gift, maybe even a skill that no one is as proficient in as refugees and asylum seekers. We wake up every day in our first homes, in our bodies. We confront the worlds in the new homelands. We arrive to seeking joy, and simultaneously we have a backdrop of our homelands and our birthplaces being on fire. We wake up, we crack jokes. A minute later, we're sending a text to check in on a family member who's in danger. And both these responses come from a very genuine place in us, come from this first home, from our body. And that's why I thought when the theme of Refugee Week for this year, our home, was so incredibly poignant and spot on, because it encapsulates the entire journey from the micro of the individual to the macro, from our bodies as our first home to, as Enver mentioned earlier, our physical spaces, our actual physical homes, temporary or otherwise, as also a second layer of home, to the homes we find in the new countries we arrive to the homes we left behind, to our collective home, the planet we all inhabit and live in. And also brings to mind the author Dina Nayiri, who also mentions the notion of childhood as also a home that we depart from. And in each and every single one of these homes, we all experience that these homes carry that joy and carry that grief, carry the pain and carry the celebration. And we come to Refugee Week to lean into that celebration, to allow the joy to take up the space for a change. We come together to celebrate one another, and this celebration, we build our resilience. And the word resilience for me has been very problematic over the years, especially in the context of refugees and migration. But recently, I've come across Nkem and Defoe's talk on anchoring resilience, and I'm going to read a small quote from her and how she describes it. It's a celebration of our capacity as humans to adapt, to challenge, a celebration that built into our biology. Built into our biology, we have a range of responses that help us survive, that help us live, that help us make it through difficult times and challenges and threats of all kinds. So now for me, after coming across that talk, I think of celebration at these difficult times as an active engagement in growing one's own and one's community's anchoring resilience and survivability through adversity. It's like nourishing our bodies with food to keep going. So conscious and intentional participation in Refugee Week, from as big as putting on events, public events, to our simple acts of watching a film, discovering a story, sharing a message, making a connection. The list goes on, to getting active, to caring for our homes, to joining the movement. All of these are actually active ways of not only championing refugees and asylum seekers and their journeys and their stories, but it's also a way for us to build our own resilience and ultimately build our home together, be it the country, be it the planet. I wish you all a very growth-filled Refugee Week this year. And as Anver just shared with us all, it's time we use our voice in these difficult times, use our power to remind everyone that refugees are welcome. Thank you, everyone.